everybody. We have Captain Sukhwinder Kaur with us, who is an author with the Right Order publication. Hello, ma'am. How are you doing?
Hi, Diksha. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too, ma'am. I'm good.
Great.
We'll basically have a small discussion about your book so that, our audience also knows a little bit more about what this book has to offer. But
Okay.
before we deep dive into, your book in particular, I just have a few questions about, what was your like earliest interaction with books? What is literature to you?
Okay. So I would say, in a way, books are my bestest friend. Right from childhood, like I've mentioned in my book also, I was a very shy and a quiet child. I was not very quick to talk to people, but
Mm-hmm.
I found it very easy to get lost in the characters of a book, whether it was those famous five of Bennett Letter, Nancy Drew, or then it was, uh, more serious books as I grew. But books have been like an integral part of my life right from my early childhood.
Nice. So, is there any particular genre that you are more into, or anything particular that you read more
Yes.
often?
So with age, they have been changing. Earlier it was, detectives, then it was romance, and then it was philosophy. And now I read more books on leadership, more books on life philosophy, and the best author I like is Ayn Rand,
Mm-hmm.
and then I
Okay.
like books by Paulo Coelho.
Okay. Oh yeah. Very nice.
His
Okay.
ideology to life and the way he presents in that story format, I really like those.
Nice. So, there's often this debate between people about fiction versus non-fiction. So, which
Yeah.
side are you on at present?
So it depends on the mood actually. There
Okay.
are times when you want to just get lost into fantasy world and
Correct.
and live in that because you need something refreshing
Correct.
and you want to take that journey. But then there are other times when you need to, contemplate on more
Mm,
serious issues of life and
correct.
you need to expand your horizons, get a deeper perspective on things that matter in life. So
Correct.
that's the time when you read non-fiction.
More.
So
Correct.
it's not one versus the other, it is sometimes this and sometimes that.
That's nice. So, like, often in our office here, because we are in a world of literature, there's often this debate that happens, and
Yeah.
I'm mostly on the non-fiction side. So your perspective is very nice. I think it's always a mix of both. It's never just this or that.
Yeah.
So, now that you're a published author, so what's the feeling like?
Honestly, I feel, I'm living a dream come true because anybody who is in love with books always thinks one day, if I were to write it, how would I represent this? If
Correct.
I were to handle this subject, how would I deal with it? So that game always plays in everyone's mind, I would say. And I was blessed that I was able to translate that dream into reality. So I feel really nice. I feel one biggest dream of my life has come
Correct.
true.
So how has, the your family's reaction been, your friends' reaction? Is there anything particular that flashes into your head when I say your favorite memory about this book?
Yes, so I would say the launch of the book that I had at Pune
Mm,
was a very beautiful evening. So it was an early evening out in the open lawn, and there were almost 150 people gathered there. From my school days, from my college days, my professors, my principal, my bosses, my colleagues, family, friends, and it was a very mixed bag of
correct.
people. But they were all connected with just one string, and that was their affection for me. There was no reason, there was no other, takeaway for them except that they wanted to share that joy, and that feeling was like, I get goosebumps even now. And they came only and only because they wanted to celebrate that special day with me.
Nice.
And for most of them, I would say it was the first time that they were attending a book launch
Mm, mm, mm,
in person. So
mm,
it was a very new experience for them,
mm.
buying my book and then waiting in line to get my
And
autograph and
yes,
book and a picture with me. So we had a small selfie corner there. So it was for them as well a very exciting thing, but that was very nice. That day I felt like, oh my God, I'm a bit of a celebrity. They made me feel like that.
correct, correct. So, I mean, now that you're explaining how this evening was, I have an idea about, writing a book for myself. I mean, publishing a book as well.
Okay.
This is something like a dream now that I literally could picture how your evening would have been that day.
Yes.
Wonderful, man, wonderful. So when you sat, was there any particular time when you decided that, okay, I think it's time to publish a book, let me sit and write or something? Is there anything particular instance or something which you recall?
Yes, so I would say way back in about 2018, I had almost done about 25 years of working,
Mm,
and my kids were now, almost grown up to handle things on their own. So I felt now is the stage in life when I have the time
mm,
to actually invest in writing a book, and
mm.
I have enough experience and knowledge that I can share with people. I have enough stories from my life that I can tell rather than just something created in
Correct,
fiction or abstract or theoretical. So
correct,
it was in about 2018 that I decided, but it took me so many years to
correct,
decide likhna kya hai? What do I write about?
correct.
Should it be a novel? Should it be, essays? What should it be? So by 2020 end, I had zeroed in that I want to talk about leadership
Mm,
because I relate that, the best hat that I have is of a leader. I'm able to inspire people. I'm
mm.
able to show them a vision and, take their acceptance into doing what we want to do. So by 2020, I decided I want to write on leadership, and so the story started to building.
So, what is leadership to you? Like, what do you define it as? And has there been any leader that you have looked up to through your life?
Yes, so there have been a few.
Mm,
Uh, the trigger was that when in the corporate, I found out most people don't know the difference between a manager and a leader.
absolutely
A
correct.
manager is a title given by the organization, but a leader may not necessarily be a manager. But a leader is someone
Valid.
you want to listen to, you look up to, you respect, and you will do things, you will go over and beyond to do क्योंकि उसने बोला है. And
So
I
yeah.
always wanted to be that one. So
Mm,
then I would study the people around me and say, कि, whom do most people go to? Whom do they listen to? And why?
mm,
And
mm.
that's when on LinkedIn I started to post, signs of good leadership. What are the do's and don'ts of a good leader? And this is what a leader does. And I realized that I have most of those qualities in me. I started to see what others were already seeing in me. So
Correct,
I thought
correct.
it's best that I write about that because my first job in the army, I was leading a team of 250 people, and then whether it was 250 people or 500 people or my last job was a pan India head where I was leading 25,000 people
Wow.
across the country. So whenever I would go somewhere, people would just do Captain Madam ne bola hai, so we have to do it. So then I
Yeah.
realized that I had that connect with people, so they looked at me more as a leader than just a manager. So
Very
I
nice. Yeah.
that's the difference, and that's what inspired.
That's
And
nice.
to answer your question, my inspiration, my first boss in the army was my first inspiration.
Mm,
He had that charisma, that style, that aura around him that whenever he walked into the room, you automatically looked up with an awe and a respect. So then I realized it's not just about the knowledge, it's also about your aura. That
correct.
when you walk, before you open your mouth, people start noticing you कि this is someone you should respect. इसका सुनना चाहिए.
So yeah.
So he was my first, brush with charismatic leadership.
Nice, nice, nice. Very nice. So you've been in two worlds, in the forces and now in the corporate as well. So what's the, major difference that you see in both the worlds?
So the biggest difference is the respect for hierarchy
Mm-hmm.
and the discipline that comes with the uniform. So in the corporate, it's more, relationships are more based on the org structure. If you are in my team, you are my manager, or, I have some working relationship with you. That's how people are. But in
Mm,
the army, simply because you're wearing a uniform, you have a
mm,
bond. You go anywhere, to any place in the country and you say, I'm from so and so unit, I need a guest room, they will give it to you. I need help, my mother is there. You call up someone in that unit and say, can you send someone? My old mother is alone. They will do it because just bound by that respect of the uniform
Very
and
nice.
that sense of respect for the hierarchy.
Very nice. Very nice.
So
So,
that's
yeah. So, like, I have one question. Like, as someone who aspires to be an author, is
Mhm.
there something we should know beforehand? Now that you're a published author, what would that lesson that you would want to give to people be?
Yes, very interesting question. In fact, I spent almost 2 years in trying to find the answer to this. So it's not about what I want to say, it's about what do people want to know about,
Correct. Correct.
right? So there is one, and the second, this thing is when you are writing, write for the joy of writing
Correct.
and not with what sells in the market.
Correct.
Because for me, writing is not a business proposition that I did it to make money. By
Correct.
the grace of God, the job that I have is sufficient for that. I wrote for the love of writing. So
Mm.
when you write for the love of writing and you write about something that people want to know about, I think that is a very good combination.
Correct. That's very nice. That's a very, valuable feedback that I'm sure viewers will always like to listen to and understand when they start writing. So,
Yeah.
was there, generally people who write at times they have this, block in their mind, and maybe that flow that they had might not be there. Was that a problem for you ever?
Yes, there were times when I knew I wanted to write a story about, let's say, ownership, okay, as
Mm,
one of the elements of leadership. So
mm,
I had three, four stories in my mind, three, four examples from my life where I had learned about ownership and somebody had demonstrated. कौन सा वाला story pick करूं? Which one to build on? Every time
mm,
I started to write, I was, no, 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 this is very routine. This is not conveying the meaning. This is
uh,
not bringing out the essence. So there were time, and also sometimes, should I make it a short story? Should I add more details? Should I go very deep into it, or should I keep it brief?
uh-huh.
So at those times, I had three, four people around me. My son, for one, my daughter, another, and a couple of friends. So I
Mm,
would write and I would share it with them and say, okay, as a neutral person, listen to this and tell me, what do
uh-huh.
you think?
Uh-huh.
So these three, four opinions, like sounding boards, you can say, I
Correct.
would use, and then I would take it ahead. But kabhi kabhi writer's block hota hai,
Huh.
and at that time, best is take a break.
Makes
Take
sense.
a break, something else, come back with a fresh mind, then you will know. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. So, as someone who doesn't necessarily know who you are, and they just know that you're an author of the book, if they come and ask you, why should I purchase this book? What would you tell them?
So I would say my book is a very hands-on. Anybody who wants to be good at their work and aspires to be a leader and not just a manager. So
Mm,
anybody from the age of 18 to the age of 50, I would say, and who's working, even
mm,
if not working in the business field, but maybe working on their own business or even at home. You want to be a leader. You want to be somebody people look up to.
correct.
This is my story, my lessons in leadership from the army, from the business that I did, from the corporate that I have, and from the academics that I was in college lectureship for a few years. So, from diverse sectors, my lessons I have put together. And instead of reading a book on principles of leadership and these are the qualities of leadership, read these simple stories. You will
Correct.
know all about leadership. And so it's walk the talk, basically, in a
Correct.
nutshell.
So, just one final question. So, how has your experience been with publishing the book with the Right Order publication?
So working with you, Diksha, particularly has been very good. You're very to the point, you're prompt in reverting, and you stick to your deadline. So I've been very happy working with you. And yeah, I would say it's been a great journey working with the Right Order publication.
And personally, I need to thank you as well, because through this journey of publishing the book, I learned a lot of things as well, because I would sit down and read a few chapters here and there, although I could not necessarily read the entire book yet. I think they are, that it's a very hands-on book, and it's something where, you can sit, understand from a very basic level. Even, if at times you do think that you have the characteristics of, being a good leader, but you don't know how to be better, I think even that answer is there in the book. So I think this book has the potential to do really well in the markets. Congratulations, ma'am, once again for, publishing your first book. And I hope that many more are, in your bucket as of now, and we would see you coming out with more and more books as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Viewers, to purchase this book, you can grab your copies on Amazon. There'll be a link in the description. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. Again, wishing you all the best for the book.
Thank you. Thank you, Diksha. All right. Bye-bye.